Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the content patch for the 18th of November 2013. My name is TotalBiscuit with today's gaming news and comment. Coming up in the show, my bloody PS4 is bricked, Warzy developer wants some of that sweet negative publicity, and we'll be doing a rundown of the forthcoming releases for this week. All this and the OC Remix track of the day is coming your way right about now. PlayStation 4 launch in North America has happened. On the 15th, PS4s were sent out to many people indeed, including myself, and there's currently a lot of speculation as to whether or not the failure rate on these machines is significant. At the moment, presented by nothing more than anecdotal evidence, it's really rather difficult to determine whether or not the actual failure rate of these machines is significant. Of course, those with broken machines will be the ones shouting the loudest, and those with working machines, well, they have no real reason to post. So it is to be expected that we hear a lot about it, but as it turns out, my PS4 was a brick upon arrival. The machine worked absolutely fine, with the rather glaring exception that the drive does not work. You cannot put discs in it. It would appear that whatever mechanical parts are responsible for bringing the disc into the drive jam halfway in. We actually took the front off it to check whether or not it was a problem and maybe there was something stuck in there, and as it turns out that was not the case. And we also attempted a number of possible workarounds, all of which to no effect. So that will be going back, and of course getting a new PS4 is going to be a little tricky considering it is sold out everywhere right now, so yeah, that's lovely. It's hard to say though whether the failure rates are significant. There have been plenty of reports of bricked machines, but we don't know how many. And as a result, this could be anything between less than 1% of people or maybe 20% of people. We don't know. We don't have a bloody clue. It took a while for people to really realize that the red ring of death problem on the original 360s was an issue. The PlayStation 4 at this point has sold over 1 million units already in North America, so who the hell knows exactly what percentage we're looking at here. It certainly sucks though, there's no question about that, and it is a big reminder to everybody that unless you really have a very compelling reason to grab the console on launch, then you shouldn't bloody well do it. There's even rumors that Amazon actually received a bad batch of the machines, and their product page seems to reflect that with a huge number of DOA reports. Amazon has set up a refunds policy for them because they cannot offer replacements, they don't have any. Early adoption really is, I'm afraid, for suckers. Yeah, and I've said it many times before, I do it kind of because it's my job. It's good for me to have that machine early, and if there's a problem, at least I can warn people about it, because that's my job. And unless it is your job to warn other people about the state of your machine, then I would strongly suggest that you wait. And with the launch lineup, honestly, the PlayStation 4 really isn't worth having right now, unless you're massively into Killzone. I went through the entire launch lineup, looked at everything that I could have possibly got, and I said, right, well, I got Killzone. Here's Resogun. I played some Resogun. It was alright, yeah, it was pretty good. It's a decent Defender clone. It's got a nice soundtrack, really nice sound assets. Nothing that couldn't be done on the PlayStation 3, though. Certainly not a fantastic demonstration of next-gen technology. You're basically just playing Defender. So that's not so great. And all of the other stuff I can play on PC. The only thing I was really interested in playing was actually Need for Speed Rivals, because it is out earlier on the PlayStation 4 versus any other platform. So you get it a few days earlier, it's relatively comparable to the PC version, and it's got good reviews across the board, with many people calling it a nice little spiritual successor to Burnout Paradise, which of course is fantastic. Aside from that though, look through it and like, oh, right, well, all these free-to-play games I can already play on PC. It's nice for those that can't, but I don't really want to play Blacklight on a console, or Warframe on a console, or DC Universe on a console. I can play all of these on PC. So I was just kind of sitting there thinking, well, what's next with this thing? What am I going to use it for? Well, apparently not Blu-rays, because the drive's broken. So I think, honestly, for a lot of people, they'll be thinking about waiting till next year once we get something like Infamous, and I wouldn't blame them either. You know, it's probably one of the first games for the machine that could be considered, 1, a killer app, and 2, something that looks truly next-gen. Considering all of the negativity and controversy surrounding Google Plus and YouTube right now, it seems like the perfect opportunity to do something really dickish. And who better to perform this dickish maneuver than Hammerpoint Interactive, the developers of the Warzy, now renamed to Infestation Survivor Stories. The rap sheet for this particular developer is longer than my arm, and if you thought that Wild Game Studios handled things badly, you have no idea. This is the company that wholesale stole art from The Walking Dead for their promotional material. This is the company that deliberately named their game The War Z to confuse people into believing that it was in fact DayZ, the much superior mod, or indeed World War Z, a rather well-known brand when it comes to zombie fiction. This is the same company that wholesale stole the terms of service from League of Legends, which was very easily spotted when references to League of Legends were found in that particular document. This is the company that flat out lied when the game was initially released on Steam by listing a bunch of features that the game did not in fact actually have, and spurred Valve, the sleeping Snorlax, into a rare course of action where they actually removed the game for some time from the Steam store. Unfortunately, that was not permanent. And now, as so much controversy surrounds the comment system and Google Plus integration, they try to quietly sneak this one past. A copyright strike issued against a very small channel by the name of Game Over Man Podcast, who dared to make a 3-minute humorous video with various reactions to some of the more ridiculous glitches, bugs, and problems that Infestation Survivor Stories still suffers almost a year after its official retail release. I have actually watched the video, and you guys can watch it too. I've put a link in the description below this video so you can check out the Vimeo mirror of this particular piece. It's a rather nice little short 3-minute video. It's well edited, it's well produced, and I got a few giggles out of it, I've got to admit. And of course, it features some footage from Infestation Survivor Stories. That said, a lot of the footage that's actually in this video is of the commentator himself as opposed to the actual game. Even if it was not, of course, this is by no means a good reason to take the video down. It would appear that they decided to do it simply because the video was negative, and based on some of the posts within the forum, it would also appear that this may be a matter of course for the company. Finding videos that go down is, of course, very, very difficult. It's hard to trawl and say, which videos have been taken down by this developer? There is no central database for that, and indeed perhaps we need one to name and shame developers that decide to abuse the YouTube copyright system in order to censor critique of their title. But it does not surprise me in any way that a company like Hammerpoint, that has proven itself to be one of the most unethical and unscrupulous companies that we currently have in PC development, has in fact actually managed to do something like this. The fact that they would do it to a YouTube account that has 11 subscribers and the guy's Twitter account has 100 followers is just ridiculous. I mean, talk about picking on the little guy because you feel that this guy has no recourse. It seems like they're trying to turn YouTube into the same kind of environment that you would expect from their forums, which is heavily, heavily moderated, and permanent bans are handed out for no reason. I was handed one, actually, I think on my first post to that forum, so it didn't really take too long for that to happen. Regardless, though, I would like to remind you that this stuff is not over. Apparently getting 3 million views on a video that very clearly exposed the problems that this copyright system has, and the fact that some developers, yes, are willing to exploit it in order to censor critique, was not enough. This needs to keep happening. You cannot allow companies like this to get away with it. Unfortunately, as we've seen from the YouTube comments debacle, getting anything changed on YouTube for the better seems to require a site-wide revolt. So apparently, just getting 3 million pairs of eyes on that particular video was not enough. You can check out Game Over Man Podcast over at gameovermancast.blogspot.co.uk. Follow him on Twitter at GameOverPod, and of course, check out the video that was too hot for YouTube in the description below. And finally, let's have a look at the releases that are coming your way this week. I would love to tell you that there's a huge amount of great ones, but I would be lying. The obvious big releases in the US are, of course, the Xbox One titles: Killer Instinct, Forza Motorsport 5, Rise Son of Rome, Dead Rising 3, Loco Cycle, Crimson Dragon, and Zumba Fitness World Party, of course, will be making their way to the Xbox One on the 22nd of November launch. There are, of course, other titles, but for the most part, they are cross-platform, so those are the exclusives that you're currently looking at there. Rise Son of Rome does seem to have generally poor previews, so that might be something that I'm going to be avoiding. That said, titles like Killer Instinct, Forza Motorsport 5, and Dead Rising 3, as well as my personal interest in Crimson Dragon, actually give me a good reason to want to pick up one of these consoles and play it on day one, which is a little bit of a difference in comparison to the PlayStation 4. For those who don't know what Crimson Dragon is, it's kind of like a spiritual successor to Panzer Dragoon, which was a series that I enjoyed very much, and it is by some of the original developers as well. Xbox One exclusive, looks pretty damn good. It got a rather bad showing at the Xbox Games unveiling, simply because they forgot to turn the sound on, which was not a particularly good stage show, but it does look rather beautiful indeed. It was originally going to be a Kinect-only title, and thankfully it's not anymore. You can actually use a bloody controller. It is, for the most part, an on-rails shooter. Indeed, it is, of course, part of the lineage which really created that particular genre, Panzer Dragoon being one of the first that really did it in that particular way. It was not the first on-rails shooter, but the way that it did it and how satisfying it actually made that combat is something that most games did not manage to achieve prior to that. So that's going to be something I'm looking into. Killer Instinct, for those who don't know, will be coming out in several different forms. All of this is going to be digital only. You're not actually going to be able to pick up a boxed copy of this. They're calling it free to play, which as far as I'm concerned is nonsense. It really is just a demo, a permanent demo, and then you are able to either buy the game for $20, which is the 6 initial characters. There's a $40 version, which gives you the DLC added after that, and you can buy each individual character for $5 each if you so desire. There are also claims that you'll be able to buy the different modes and features separately if you want, but the regular version of the game is a $20 title. I really do think that this pricing model is a very good one, as long as it doesn't get abused. I've said it many times before, and I've been happy when Sony, as well as, funnily enough, Capcom on iOS have used this business model. This idea that you don't have to buy the whole thing in one go, you can kind of pay as you go, which is especially relevant considering that you don't necessarily play the game to completion all the time. When it comes down to something like this, you get to try it out, and then you can buy as you will. It may be that you get to try all the characters through the rotating free character system, and you only like 1 or 2 of them. So instead of paying $20, you just drop 10, and then you've got your free rotating character plus 2 more, which is kind of a nice idea. I think that more games should adopt this particular model, as long as they offer a sensible price point just to buy the whole game in a traditional fashion, which Killer Instinct does. You know, $20 for a fighting game is not that bad. In fact, that's actually a very, very good price for a new fighting game. The Combo Breaker Pack, which is what they're calling it, is the $20 pack, and it's all Season 1 characters, which is all 8 of them. And then if you go to the Ultra Edition, you get a bunch of other stuff like early access to costumes, characters, accessory packs, and things like that. A bunch of accessory packs and costumes in Season 1, and also you get like the Killer Instinct arcade game for free with it as well. And then there is an Ultimate Edition that you can actually buy in the Microsoft Store for $60 in a box, which comes with premium case and all sorts of other nonsense like that. This is a good model, especially for fighting games. I feel that it will work really well, and I am hopeful that this game actually won't suck. Reports have been reasonably good, actually, on this one, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. And then, of course, Forza, which, you know, it's Forza. It's going to be a good racing game, it always is. And Dead Rising 3, which has had a little bit of controversy surrounding it, especially upon its initial launch, and I was one of the people that was like, what have you done to my franchise? Because I absolutely love Dead Rising. I bought both Dead Rising 1 and 2, and of course, Off the Record. The original Dead Rising was why I bought my 360 in the first place. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh god, this is so brown. But lately they've been trying to dispel that. They've been showing a lot of very wacky and interesting footage, so I'm looking forward to that. There have been some reports of pretty heavy frame drops in earlier preview builds, but they do seem to be isolated to the Digital Foundry report only. So that makes me think that perhaps something was going wrong there. Regardless, I will be picking that one up on launch. You've also got Lococycle from the devs of Splosion Man, which again has had kind of mixed reviews, unfortunately. So we'll see how that one goes down. And that's pretty much it for the exclusives. As I said before, Rise is not really getting a lot of good publicity right now, but that's what you can expect to be playing on your Xbox One if you pick it up next week. The console comes out in multiple territories on November the 22nd, so in Europe you will actually get it a week before the PlayStation 4. Alright, so is there anything else that's actually worthy of looking at? Not a huge amount, I am afraid. For some reason, The Amazing Spider-Man is coming to PlayStation Vita. I really don't know why that is, considering it is a game that was based on a movie that came out, well, some time ago. Yeah, in 2012. So for some reason, there is now a PlayStation Vita version. the game's not bad, don't get me wrong, it's a little bit irrelevant at this point, so I'm not really sure what they're doing with that. If you're into obscure Japanese fighting games, then Aquaparza Aqua Plus Dream Match is probably something that you want to be looking at. Again, another 2D fighting game being published by Atlas USA. It has a system called Active Emotion, which awards a character extra damage when they are feeling confident, and they have decreased defense if they're feeling upset. I don't even know. But hey, you know, it's a Japanese 2D fighter, which probably means it's good. Most of them are, but it is a little bit obscure. Adventure Time, Explore the Dungeon Because I Don't Know, coming out on November the 19th for PC. I never got into the whole Adventure Time thing. I don't even have a clue what this is about. I am not gonna pretend. So there you go. An Adventure Time game is coming out. Yay, yay, yay. Soul Calibur 2 HD Online coming to PlayStation 3 and Xbox Live on November the 19th. Oh, that's a pretty good thing to say the least. I do wonder how good this version actually is. Soul Calibur 2, I think, was my favorite in the franchise. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that. It had some great modes with it, and of course it had a phenomenal fighting system, so that might be something you want to be looking into there. You can also pick up Tearaway on November the 22nd on PlayStation Vita, which is actually from Media Molecule, the guys that brought you Little Big Planet, and this time around it's a little bit papercraft, and it uses the PlayStation Touch controls quite heavily as well. Aside from that, I would point, of course, towards Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which is finally coming to PC on November the 19th, supposedly. So you will be able to grab that one on Uplay as well as Steam. Looking forward to getting my mitts on that one, because from what I've been told, if you mostly ignore the story, it's actually a really good pirate game. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that. Also, Young Justice Legacy will be coming to PC. This looks absolutely dreadful. It seems to be based on a Cartoon Network show, which is, of course, DC Comics. And I've had a look at it, and it just looks like it was designed in 2004. It really does not look good at all. I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that, but I will try it, I guess, when it comes out, but it does look awful. So let the buyer beware on that one. That pretty much wraps me up for the day, folks. Thank you very much for watching the content patch. Before I go, I'd like to remind you that our Longhorn Snark House limited edition shirts are available over on Rodeo Arcade. There is a link in the description below this video if you want to check them out, or just head over to rodeoarcade.com and you'll find that it is pretty much the first shirt on the list there. They will be available for 2 weeks only. They will be going off sale, I believe, on the 28th of November. Before I go, I'd like to give you the OC Remix track of the day, if you don't mind. I'm sure you don't mind. It's fantastic. Everybody knows that. It's pretty rare that I highlight the vocal remixes of tracks on ocremix.org, simply because a lot of them really don't fit my taste, yeah? There's sort of a stigma against it, and it's not entirely unreasonable to suggest that some tracks just don't need vocals. This one, on the other hand, works very, very well indeed. It's by a remixer called Brandon Strader, and this is from a track that you should know very, very well indeed. 3 tracks, in fact, from Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, Dragonborn from Past to Present, and The Age of Aggression, and he calls this track Sage of Confession. It's a straight-up vocal metal remix, and it is damn good. Hopefully you enjoy it, and I'll see you next time.
We drink to our youth, to the days come and gone. The age of aggression is just about done. just about